Hey everybody, it's Mandirae of Ecstatic Astrology. Today's September 14th and it's the new moon in Virgo, which is trine Uranus, and it's Mercury retrograde, which goes direct tomorrow. So let's talk about it. So what is a new moon? A new moon is a time of beginnings. It is a time to plant seeds. And in Virgo, which is a mutable earth sign, mutable kind of means changeable. It can shift. I like to equate Virgo with sand or dust. But in Virgo, that can mean new routines, new rituals, new health initiatives, if you will. Virgo is the sign of routine, of what we do every day, of how we do things every day. It is also the sign of rituals. It's also the sign of health and healing. But I also like to call Virgo the pruners of the zodiac. It is time of the year, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, when we like to prune leaves back and to help things grow by helping to shed away the dead, the stuff that doesn't work. And it's even more true with this new moon than normal, and that is because Mercury is retrograde in the same sign of Virgo. So Mercury rules Virgo. We've been rethinking, that's a retrograde, especially in Mercury retrograde, what we do, how we do it, the details, lists, organization, maybe even purging and cleaning with this Mercury retrograde. So the fact that this new moon in Virgo is ruled by Mercury, which is retrograde in its own home sign, means that this is an extreme new beginning, and an extreme new beginning after a lot of thought. But then there's the trine to Uranus. Uranus is innovation, it's upheaval, it is revolution, it is change, it is freedom, sometimes unexpected events, and a trine in astrology is supportive. These two things are working together. So we're planting seeds on our rituals and routines, also after rethinking all of that stuff. And while we're planting the seeds, we are supported by the need for change, the need to shift things, the need for freedom, the need for revolution, maybe even upheaval that we are not initiating, but just dealing with. So this new moon is ripe for making a change, for innovating our lives, for freedom, really, from especially values that we have been stuck in. Uranus is in Taurus. Taurus is our values. Taurus is what we like. It's really what we're able to spend money on or want to spend money on. And sometimes it's not money. Sometimes people value rest more than money, or time with people, time traveling more than money. The point is, what we value is really what's undergoing the greatest change. So a new moon in Virgo, which is how we do things, the way we do things every day, the way we organize our lives, being supported by a change in values could be that, I have decided that I'm not using plastic anymore, so now I have to make sure and clean my glass bottles every day. There are many, many ways this could come out. But then there's the opposition to Neptune. So Neptune is spirituality. That is really a blanket term. We give it mysticism. Neptune rules over the ether, the boundarylessness. It rules over imagination and magic and intuition and inspiration. But it can also rule over confusion, lack of clarity. So we get this double hit of Neptune and Uranus connections to the new moon that make things seem maybe a little more magical than normal, and that can lull you into maybe doing something that you don't intend, rose-colored glasses, so be aware of that. However, it is giving us this little peek into what's possible, into the magic of the world, right? And I think that's really wonderful with the opposition to Neptune. It is a chance to see the bigger picture, and the trine to Uranus is the chance to take advantage and make material change out of it. But one other thing, Saturn's in Pisces with Neptune, and it's not that Saturn is making any aspects to this new moon, but Saturn is opposite Mercury. And Mercury being the way we think, Mercury being retrograde and maybe rethinking, reconsidering things, opposite, looking at the obstacles and the structure of Saturn and having to do so very meticulously. Saturn in Pisces also helps us materialize our dreams. But it can also lead us into delusion. It can also lead us into a lack of clarity or confusion. So Mercury retrograde can actually be helpful in that way if we look at it as getting to the details and organizing our lives in the way that is helpful for us. Now, Mercury retrograde and Mercury direct has trines Jupiter. So on the way up, Mercury is going forward, Mercury trines Jupiter. Mercury turns around, goes backwards, trines Jupiter. Mercury is going to go forward again tomorrow. Yay! Mercury direct. But that means we get the third trine to Jupiter. So trines are supportive. They're a 120-degree aspect, geometrical connection. Don't listen to me when I talk about fancy words. But the point is, the trine to Jupiter is helpful. Jupiter is abundance. Jupiter is truth. Jupiter is philosophy. So the fact that Mercury is going to trine Jupiter a third time indicates that the things that we've rethought, reconsidered, are getting a boost. When is that? That is the 22nd, 23rd. Another thing that happens on the 22nd, Venus squares Uranus for the third time. So Venus being love, money, Venus having been retrograde, and we've been reevaluating our, I guess, values, you could say, but it's more like creative values in Leo. It's more like the things that we're passionate about, the things that drive us. We've been reevaluating how we feel about that, maybe how we can bring more of it into the world. It makes a tense square for the third time with Uranus. Change, upheaval, freedom. So do you see the theme here? We have a new moon trine Uranus, which is supportive. And then we've got Venus square Uranus at the end of the next week, which is the 22nd. And Mercury trine, supportive, Jupiter in Taurus. These are Taurus connections, okay? Jupiter and Uranus are both in Taurus. Our values, our comfort levels, our self-worth, literally the land. Taurus is a fixed earth sign, and that's why values tend to be fixed in people. But Uranus is changing that. Jupiter is expanding our need for a philosophical lens to our values, to get to the truth of what we want out of life, what we need out of life, really, for survival. So the new moon's trine to Uranus, that's helpful. But Venus squares Uranus next weekend. Now, this being the third square probably won't be such a big deal. We've already experienced two of these squares. We've already reevaluated. But this is the final closing square. So what we need to... and I don't mean closing as in the phase. Actually, it's an opening square phase. But it's the final square of this specific transit. This could lead to sudden moments of awareness. But luckily, Mercury's coming in to trine Jupiter at the same time, and we've already done a lot of preparation with Mercury retrograde. We've already figured out some of the details. So let me just say, as Mercury's going direct today, September 14th, actually it's tomorrow sometime, September 15th, and as the new moon is trine Uranus today, maybe we can get pretty good with our lists, pretty good with our details, with our spreadsheets. And I'm not even kidding. Like, for instance, I'm having to buy a new car at some point. My daughter's turning 16. And, you know, my partner finds one, literally just found one that he wants to buy. And I'm like, well, we need to think about this, right? It's still Mercury retrograde. I need time to process. I need to look at my budget and see exactly what kind of payment I can afford. This is not the time for snap decisions, not at all. This is the time to plan for snap decisions. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to go do some rising sign videos for everybody for this new moon, and I will catch you on the flip side. That'll be for the full moon in Aries, September 29th. Mwah.